Hey guys, I'm Michael Lam for TravelCostaRicaNow.com. I'm so excited. I'm not even going to mention the fact we're a travel agency. I'm not going to say anything about email us. I'm not going to say anything about we have 500 videos about living and traveling here. I'm not even going to talk about that. But what we are going to talk, I'm so excited, man. We got a fellow YouTuber. He's a real estate agent up in Tamarindo, but we're actually going to talk about how he got to Costa Rica. But I got this funny feeling we're going to be doing some more videos, and we're going to be getting knee-deep into real estate as well. So anyway, thank you so much, Matt, for coming. I'm so excited about this.
Thanks very much for having me, Michael.
All right, well, I want people to know you more. So when you sell them a house, no, I don't want to really talk about the real estate. So how long have you been in Costa Rica?
I moved down in 2008.
So like 12 years or so?
Yep, full 12 years now.
So you were kind of young when you came here.
Yeah, I was 23. Originally, my current wife and I were together in college. She broke up with me on the day I graduated from college, which I clearly don't hold against her. With my freedom and with the opportunity to do anything I wanted, I signed up for Peace Corps, a U.S. government organization that sends people abroad for 2 years. And I was...
just real quick, was that a plan prior, or was it like, I graduated and I don't have a girlfriend anymore, or was Peace Corps kind of in the back of your brain prior? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where was your head at that time?
Yeah, it had always been a vague goal to do something great or be, benevolent in the world and volunteer some time. And I had actually thought of doing Peace Corps a lot, but definitely I had put it totally in the back of my mind until I found myself free, in that moment, and sort of thought, wow, at that point I didn't have a lease, I didn't have a job that I knew I was going to like. I had very little holding me to the U.S., so I was able to sign up for Peace Corps.
I don't want to pry. You don't have to answer this, but were you actually planning on getting married, or did you know you were going to get dropped?
No. So this was usually
Is that too prying? I'm sorry.
No. Usually I hold people in suspense and don't tell them that we ended up married. But essentially, I went on this 2-year adventure. We had gotten back together before I left for Peace Corps, and really at the time I felt that if we were meant to be together forever, it would work out and everything would be fine, because what I definitely knew was that if I stay in Indianapolis, Indiana, if I just go straight into this customer service job that I had lined up, and if I just start paying rent...
It's over for you and your life.
Yeah, I might find
myself... You lost me in Indianapolis. I'm from Columbus, Ohio, so I kind of can kind of relate to that.
Totally. No, yeah, so that I could see that if I didn't do something, my life could very well end up a boring, very standard, uninteresting mess. And
I think it is interesting, though. I think maybe younger people are doing it now more so with, I don't know, internet and stuff. But, back then it was kind of I bet, what did people around you think? Like, Matt, wait a minute. Or, I mean, Peace Corps is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people go, wow, that's pretty cool, Matt. Gonna see the world.
Yeah.
Did you have can they put you anywhere in the Peace Corps, or do you get?
They serve 100 and more than 100. Well, prior to the pandemic, they were in more than 150 countries. So you can go to Africa. You can go.
You can kind of pick.
Well, you give them a list of the regions you would prefer, and I had already been working on Spanish in high school, and then majored in it in college. So I put Latin America and the Caribbean as my sort of preference. And they gave me the opportunity for Costa Rica. I knew nothing about the country, but I had the vague idea that this was probably the best Peace Corps assignment that existed, at least in terms of going to a comfortable place where the drinking water wasn't going to give me all kinds of sicknesses and where I wasn't going to be absolutely in the middle of nowhere. So I took the decision very quickly to accept the position, and came down in February of 2008, about 6 months after I graduated.
Were you already thinking, well, you're younger, you probably weren't thinking past your, no, I didn't mean it like that, past your Peace Corps experience. So were you kind of going, okay, I'm going to do this Peace Corps thing, and then I'm going to get back to Indianapolis and sell No, sorry.
Yeah, no. That's,
Well, I mean, is that what you were thinking, or were you kind of going, well, maybe Peace Corps will give me options? Was this just like a time before you started your Indianapolis
real
life? You know what I mean?
You're right. My original plan was that after Peace Corps, I was going to head back to law school. And really, I had no reason to want to be a lawyer, except that I knew that they were important, that they made good money, and I thought vaguely that I could do some kind of good work event. You know, someday I'd be doing pro bono work for Mexican-American immigrants in the U.S. or become a congressman or something.
I'm starting to see a theme, Matt. Peace Corps, volunteer work as a lawyer, pro bono.
This was before I came to Costa Rica. You know, throughout Peace Corps, I actually met some amazing people that shifted my perspective a huge amount. I think during that time, 2 years living in a 350-person town in rural Guanacaste, with nothing to do. Sounds awful to many people, but I actually fell in love with it and really sort of just gained this feeling that I belonged here. You know, throughout my childhood and high school, I was always, you know, didn't really have a huge social group, and I was never like the person that was wildly popular.
So you kind of found your group, you found your thing, your
I
groove.
I felt very comfortable here. The people in my town after 2 years, you know, we grew to be family. And I found out very much that I'm a country mouse. I love open spaces, few people, low population density. And luckily got a job offer after I had finished my 2 years in Peace Corps to come back to Costa Rica and direct a watershed nonprofit. So everything transitioned pretty well. I was able to go back to the U.S. for a year. During that year, Anne Marie and I organized our wedding, you know, sort of got fully together, and then came back about a year after I had finished Peace Corps, together this time in 2011.
Let's go real quick back to Peace Corps, because I think, so what were your major takeaways? I'm sure the experiences that you get in something like that are immense, I'm sure. And I mean, if you could educate maybe a younger person, they could happen to be watching this, what were your takeaways? Because you had to learn some pretty big life lessons, you know, like there's more to the, you know, more to the world than, you know, having a better couch.
Yeah, I would say that's...
You must have learned a lot. I mean, at a young age, you kind of maybe leap 10 years past how most people learn. Because most people have to acquire and then go, what have I been doing these last 20 years? Circling myself with all these material goods and these fake...
Yeah. Well, definitely one of the clearest lessons that Guanacaste and I think Costa Rica gives you, that a new perspective on the brash materialism that you see in the U.S. And really the lesson being there are a lot of people who are way happier living on $3,000 a year, chopping a field, working their own farm. Yeah, speaking of poverty. No, but you know, I met these people who I never had realized just how much people in cities in the U.S. can complain about their lives or be really sort of just in general negative when, man, you've got a condo, a car, a job, insurance, beautiful teeth, everything that American, you know, that people want. And you meet them and you say, how's your day going? And, oh, well, Bill from HR was giving me hell about, you know, and they immediately...
Same shit, different day.
Yeah. And you meet Ticos who are dirt poor, you know, they really don't have that much material.
But they don't live in poverty.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think of themselves like that. And now that I've lived here this long, I totally understand that concept. And I think I missed this. So was your wife, she was doing Peace Corps with you, or you went to the 2 years?
So essentially when she had cut off our relationship for the time being, I joined Peace Corps and did it by myself. We had already sort of gotten back together before I came, and she ended up visiting me a couple times. But I came down by myself, and then by the time I was going back to the U.S. 2 years later, we knew we were together, that I was going home to her, etc. And
well, how did you get her on board? Because it's one thing you wanting to change. You know, you're seeing this, but that doesn't necessarily mean somebody else is, you know, ready.
Yeah, and she was. She is At the time, she was working for Angie's List, a corporation that was growing. They were only in Indianapolis and Columbus at that time, or in Ohio, that sort of area. And they were quickly growing. She had a department under her, you know. And the idea of leaving that behind for her was huge. She really wanted to. She loved Costa Rica from the visits. And I've been amazed since day one that she just picked it up and went with it, and sort of we've both gone down this rabbit hole where necessarily neither of us were expecting to necessarily have our family here and be here a decade later.
Was it almost like a let's try this and see where it takes us? But
yeah,
you had a pretty good feel. You'd been down here, so you kind of knew the lay of the land. It was a past a vacation experience for you, so you knew the culture, and you're speaking Spanish. You got Tico friends, so you kind of had a
and I had the huge advantage that so I have the 2-year base of my Peace Corps experience. I know the language, the culture, and everything, and I also had a 2-year job contract where I had that stability. I also had people who had hired me for that job that turned out to be amazing partners who then, you know, essentially convinced us to help them in the real estate world in exchange for giving us a piece of property, really opened opportunities for us. They were people who totally kept their word on funding my job, on doing everything.
Oh, wow.
So I had, you
weren't in real estate prior.
No, I had never done real estate before Costa Rica, and in fact, when I was coming down the second time, the person who was funding my nonprofit job was a real estate developer who was sort of saying, okay, I want to give back to the community where I've developed. I'm going to start this nonprofit and you can direct it and we'll give you 2 years seed money. I came down thinking, oh, I'm not selling real estate for this guy because I know he's going to want me to. You know, at that time, especially in our little community, things were stagnating horribly in 2010 and 11.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew, oh, he's going to want me to start helping him sell real estate. I didn't want to at first, but quickly he started saying, you know, I could fund your job for an extra year if you help me liquidate these last 13 lots in this neighborhood, you know, and sort of...
Well,
It was the only way that that my transition was possible, and the only way we could buy property and build a home and do everything we have.
Now, were you kind of stuck on this Tamarindo area because you were doing the Peace Corps kind of close to that, right?
Uh-huh.
So you just like, what, had you gone around, or you just kind of like, hey, I'm comfortable where I'm comfortable, so I'm just going to stay here?
Yeah, I've, you know, my entire path to where I live now has been sheer dumb luck. It's where Peace Corps placed me in my village. I got to know the business partner of the person who hired me for the subsequent job. They had the development in the area and said, look, you can build your house here. We'll sort of work a sweat equity deal where you build your house and do sales for us.
Well, let's if people don't know, to explain the Tamarindo area where you're at.
Yeah.
Because maybe some people will be like, what's he,
I know.
Where's he at?
We're on probably the absolute westernmost part of Costa Rica, where really the Nicoya Peninsula, which runs northwest to southeast, we're even sort of on the elbow that sticks out into the west. Tamarindo.
The crab part?
Yeah, exactly. Tamarindo is about 45 minutes from the Liberia International Airport, maybe an hour drive. It's one of several major tourism hubs along that stretch of coast. And we actually live about 30 minutes south of Tamarindo in a little place called Playa Junquillal.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's off the map.
But you're smart. I mean, Tamarindo is obviously a tourist town, and it's kind of nice maybe to be, you know.
Very much so.
outside that.
Yeah, for sure. Right in Tamarindo is a busy tourism, surf, hostel kind of, hostel H-O-S-T-E-L kind of place. We've found a great balance that we can live 30 minutes outside of it. I can do some business there. We've got all of the amenities we need right there in Tamarindo. But yeah, we live on 7,000 meters in the jungle, really isolated with nobody, you know, too close by.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you obviously you maybe not fell in love with it, but you got involved more in the real estate because that's what you do now. So
Yeah.
how that just segue, you just started getting kind of busy,
Sucked
and
in.
then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm a real estate guy.
Yeah, well, it was definitely a sloped transition where the developer slash nonprofit boss, you know, for a while I was still directing this watershed nonprofit organization and starting to do real estate on the side, like so many people do here. Really just
so many people do here
on the side.
Can I break for a second?
Of course.
I want to say that I want to make this clear. I don't talk to real estate people. I just don't have anybody sit here. And when I found Matt, you know, I've known he's a real estate guy. I kind of liked his videos. I was like, man, this guy's got good information. Then I was like, man, there's some integrity there. There's some honesty. I was like, I got to get to know this guy. So it's very hard to find these people. That's why I want to talk to him. That's why I want to introduce you guys to him.
Yes, it's nice to meet you all.
It's hard to find this real estate guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Anyway.
Yeah, so I was, you know, working as the sales agent for this developer just in those neighborhoods to get his lots sold while I still directed the nonprofit. And essentially, you know, that became where I was doing more and more real estate as things started to bubble a little bit more. And 3 years ago, when our second son was born, I was looking at our income and weighing it against our future expenses now that we have 2 kids who will be hopefully going to private school, who need all of these things. And at the same time, I had somewhat burnt out on community work, to be honest, just because
you give a lot of yourself.
You give, yeah.
You give a lot of yourself.
You do, and especially for my personality, I passionately love real estate because it is my own. You know, I'm 100% in charge of my fate. You have people that help you and support you in the real estate world, but it's the exact opposite of community development work, where through the watershed nonprofit, I'm running around trying to convince people, stop burning your farm every year, because long term our aquifer is drying out, and that's why you see the wells going dry, and you know, and you can only do so much of that, begging people or, you know, trying to cajole some kind of positive change, while also making very little money, while also working way harder.
And having 2 kids.
Yeah. So the wonderful thing has been that, you know, 3 years ago I dedicated myself and said to the nonprofit board, okay, I'm moving on and becoming a full-time realtor. But I got to stay on as president of the board. We had found somebody else that's sort of that perfect 1 in a million people to take over the watershed organization. So I was leaving it in good hands, but also I can still support her. But now it's this new person out there trying to convince people not to burn their farms, trying to convince them to do all these things. And I just get to try and fundraise and, you know, advocate for the organization. www.ourwatershed.org. So I've been able to get out of those really difficult, life-draining parts of the job, you know, trying to motivate change. I get to do the things that I love with that organization, and I also get to do something that's completely independent and free through real estate.
Were you guys ever 8 years in Costa Rica sitting around having breakfast going, we've been here 8 years? So is the future here?
Yeah, it is here. And we, thank God I have Anne-Marie. You know, there have been a lot of moments where we had very little income projected for the next 6 months or the next year. And in other circumstances, if I had been by myself, it would have been like, yeah, I need to start packing my bags, doing job interviews back in the U.S. Oh. I know, but
that's depressing. Just thinking about that.
We just sort of kept taking step after step. You know, we came down together, rented a house for 6 months, and then came up with this deal to get a lot. And a week later, the backhoe was out there digging the hole for our foundation of the house. We didn't really have a long-term economic plan. We had, you know, a year and a half left of my original contract. we didn't have too many economic opportunities that we thought were going to really keep us stable. We really just sort of did it. Financial planners would have been puking their guts out.
Matt, get back to Indianapolis.
Yeah, what are
ASAP.
you possibly doing here? This is a terrible decision, but we just kept going forward. And at this point, you know, our sons are both Costa Rican. They've spent only a couple weeks per year in the U.S. since they were born. I think that our passion is to raise them here, and we'll be dirt poor here, you know, before we change our plans and go back to the U.S. I think just because the lifestyle has really...
There's no place I'd rather be dirt poor in. You know what I mean? Because you're amongst company in a sense.
Yeah.
Because you would not go hungry. You would not go, you know, you may not have any money, but you're going to have a lot more than that than you would probably have.
Oh, yeah.
In the States.
And that's, yeah, thinking back to the Peace Corps experience, you know, there are people in the village where I served that make, you know, they have dirt floors in their homes, wood homes, super humble, you know, in everything they do. And they're eating crayfish from the rivers, mangoes, jocotes, you know, endless fruits from around the town. A lot of them are still growing their own corn. They have their own chickens, cattle ranching a little bit.
Hunter-gathering.
Oh, yeah, to some degree, yeah.
We're not supposed to have it easy. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to be streamlined.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to be sitting on the couch waiting for the pizza to come every day. You
Yeah.
know, you got to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm telling you, they don't know that they're poor.
No.
That's all I know, and that I think means a
Well,
lot.
and they might know that they're poor, but it's they have a quality of life despite that you can be poor in Costa Rica and have an incredible quality of life. If you're this poor in a U.S. city, you're struggling to survive. And
yeah, but I would even put that quality of life against somebody supposedly that has a good quality in the United States. I mean, quality is relative, and I think people don't understand what quality really kind of means.
Yeah.
You know, a sense of stillness in your mind, you know, and that kind of thing, kind of in the moment, be that kind of thing instead of always on the task, the hamster wheel, the more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, who's got the better quality, you know?
Yeah.
Well, there's no way that I'm going to have Matt here that's an expert in real estate in Costa Rica, especially Tamarindo, and not pick his brain and do more videos. I just wanted to, I wanted to know you a little more, so this is a very interesting story. But, Matt, so you built your house? Did you build it?
Yes.
There's so many videos here, and we're going to get to some of them. But anyway, I just want to thank you for, you know,
absolutely,
Michael. Getting
Michael.
us caught up on your life. Sounds very interesting. I'm glad you're still here.
Well, it's an easy subject to talk about.
Well, we're going to talk about some more soon. Let's go change our shirts to act like it's a different day.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen, TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps. Hey, man, things are going to pop up, and you should click on them because you need to do your homework before you come down here.